Thank you, Mahek, for joining us today on Let's Talk Business Series by RealtyNXT.
Thank you, Kritika, for inviting me. I want to just start with one thing.
Hmm.
See, Realty Next, when we connected for the first time last November,
Yeah.
that is when we applied for the construction tech demo day for the first time. And we totally forgot about Realty Next as such as a platform. And then suddenly, sometime in March or April this year, is when we got a email that we have been selected in top 30. And we're like, okay, amazing, this is a good recognition. But we were not expecting much yet. And then we were like, we'll go into the event, let's see how it goes. And eventually we ended up winning the best product demo, one. Second, we also got invited into a closed door event with Rustam ji. That was again an interesting upgrade for us. And we were not expecting all this. And now doing this podcast with you. So it's like a series of opportunities that we got through Realty Next as a platform, which is pretty amazing. That is one. That is from Archonet's perspective. Now from industry perspective, I was not following Realty Next as much before May. May is when I started following a lot of posts, etc. I also went through a lot of podcasts and I realized that you have done very insightful podcasts with industry leaders in the past. And being one of the smaller guys just doing this podcast is again amazing. So, yeah.
No, but I'm glad you are here because I always maintain this. I have a soft corner for startups, especially in construction and PropTech. So having you here today for podcast is something I'm very comfortable doing. And because I'm sure this will be coming out very interesting facts and we can be very candid about a lot of topics which we cannot be in a lot of other podcasts. So I think that's the gain I get out of startup podcasts.
Got it.
So glad you're here today. So before we get, diving into Archonet journey, I want to understand before Archonet became reality, what was Mahek like? And what made him begin his journey to create something?
Sure. I'll just quickly go through my journey in brief. I graduated as an architect, and the primary reason for choosing architecture was to practice on my own eventually. So that was always the goal from childhood, that I would want to do something of my own eventually. Going into it, I chose architecture. 5 years of architecture, I really liked it. I was even working on some of the government projects through consultancy cell of the college. Had seen very large scale government projects as an architect. Then after graduation, I still practiced as an architect for a couple of years. But during that practice, I realized that there are a lot of financial angles that come into play when you're designing something, which drive your design as well. And that's why I decided to do my master's in, MBA. From IIM Calcutta. Spent 2 years there. Post IIM Calcutta, was a management consultant for 2.5 years with Bain, where I got a chance to work with top industry leaders in the real estate space. Both, like two of them were national players, where we were doing strategy, long-term strategy for them. So earlier I had experienced real estate from design perspective. Now it's more from the developer perspective, still as a consultant, a third party, giving advice to them on how they should maybe relook at things. And then after 2.5 years of Bain, I decided to actually deep dive into it as a developer's perspective as well, where I joined a Singapore-based fund as a development manager and experienced each of the aspects of real estate from within. So I would say before getting started on Archonet's journey, I experienced the real estate space from multiple perspectives. As a student, as an architect, from design perspective, as a management consultant, just looking at very broader things, and then as a development manager for a private equity fund, looking into very specific aspects from, say, underwriting a deal to getting it designed, getting it budgeted, and also ensuring that, because ours was a retail-led mixed-use development, I was also involved in getting the anchor tenements leased out. So I had seen the entire journey also now. So 1.5 years into it, I also wanted to understand the financial side of things better. That is when I decided to do my master's in real estate development from UC Berkeley. So went to States for a year, was at Berkeley. Also got to experience the real estate space in US. A lot of similarities as well, a lot of differences. Spent a year there. While I was at Berkeley, we got incubated at Berkeley Skydeck, their fund, more for guidance and mentorship. So that is when we finally made a call that we want to now venture on our own. But till then, yeah, this was the journey. And that is when we took a call that now we want to get into the entrepreneurial journey. I already had met my co-founders before, and I can talk through that also in detail.
So tell me, because before we get into the founders, I want to understand every founder has this spark moment, right?
Correct.
They say this during that particular spark moment, be any incident or be any kind of situation, they got an idea that they want to get involved by creating or building that kind of solution.
Correct.
So what was your spark moment?
So, see, as an architect, I always wanted to design something. Building a company was not as much a thing for me earlier. But when I was doing my MBA from IIM Calcutta, there was a competition by Entrepreneurship Shell there. That is where we took part in the competition. And that is when I was like, I would want to create a platform where I would connect architects with their potential clients. That is something that we would have wanted to start. And that was that eureka moment that let's start or build a company which will actually help the industry overall. And that is where the name Archonet also came in. Archonet was supposed to mean architects over internet, where we wanted to connect architects with their potential clients.
Okay.
That is how the name came about. And that is the same idea we eventually pitched to Berkeley Skydeck when we got incubated there. And then along the journey, we have made a pivot, and this is where we have reached.
So tell our viewers who do not know much of Archonet or are new to Archonet, when did the company start and what are the solutions currently you're providing under Archonet?
Sure. So we incorporated the company back in 2021 itself. This was before I went to US. We three co-founders were very clear that we want to start something. And that is where we'll set up a company first. We'll ensure that we are putting X amount of hours. Everyone was part-time back then to build something. We started as a marketplace connecting young designers with their potential clients. While doing that, we realized that we'll end up being a live space, another live space eventually, if we go down that path.
Yeah.
So we continued. We actually had few customers as well. We had connected at least 5 to 6 different architects with their customers. Made some small amount of revenue as well out of that. But sometime in August 23 is when there was an AI boom anyways. We wanted to try out few things in the AI space. Started with AI visualization, and if you see some of our past work right on social media, you will see there is some visualization related stuff that is there. And again, this was to make lives of architects easier so that they can generate good visualizations in no time. But having detailed discussions with a lot of developers, more of a B2B customer kind of relationship, we realized that developers have a much larger problem to solve at the initial stages of the project. So when we look at the real estate value chain, it starts from land acquisition, then you design what you want to build, then it's actual construction and sales and marketing in parallel, and then there is asset management. So visualization was fitting somewhere in marketing and sales part, but developers were like, there's a huge risk that we are taking at the initial stages of the project when we are still acquiring the land parcel. So over the last 2 years, we spent good amount of time converting real estate feasibility from a mere technical checklist into a strategic advantage for developers. So that is what our current products are about. We are bringing in AI solutions into real estate feasibility to help developers take data-backed decisions and de-risk their investments at the initial stages of the project.
Interesting. So I want to understand in terms of the founders that we were talking before. In the startup ecosystem, we have seen a lot of drama, right? When it comes to wrong founders being coming together.
Correct.
And how the division is happening or how the backflashes are happening if it did not work out. So when you came up, I'm sure you all came up with this Archonet. How did you figure out these are the, my founders or my soldiers or colleagues that will take it forward, and it'll be like how do you manage to come up with a founder? Because I'm sure even the other viewers and young entrepreneurs want to understand, or what is the checklist of having a co-founder?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and this is a very important question. See, having gone through the grind for last 2 years, like both the other co-founders have just stuck with me. Like it's basically we couldn't take salaries for last 2 years. That is the reality of the entrepreneurial journey. But both the co-founders stuck with me. I'll tell you See, my first co-founder, who is Ramya Khan, he was my batchmate at IIM Calcutta. He's IIT Madras CS grad, was very passionate about the technical side of things. He was one of the persons I used to do a lot of competitions with when in college. Our frequencies matched since then. Post Calcutta, we did not collaborate much on anything, but suddenly in the middle of COVID, we decided one day that no, let's start with the idea that we were discussing earlier and let's start implementing it. That is how sometime in November 2020 is when we started something and finally decided to incorporate in 21. My second co-founder Viral Gala, he is a family friend. He's also my junior from JJ College. So he's an architect again. He had spent enough amount of time in the design space, and this was again in November 2020 is when he came on board that given that we are doing or trying to solve something for architects, he wanted to contribute. So we all started working on something. We all were part-time. Things could have just, there was no clear path where we are going, but we still stuck to it. And yeah, because before we decided to go full-time, which is in 2023, February is when Ramakant went full-time. So my co-founder went full-time before me. I went full-time after graduating in May 23. And Viral has been full-time from almost 22 onwards itself. So he was very much focused on this. I was in US back then. So this gave me the confidence that I should just come back from US. Given my team is already going full-time, why should I waste this opportunity? Just come back, spend this time with them and very focused, make focused efforts in building something meaningful.
So what would be the three keywords? Of course, keeping the technical intellect aside, that is important. What were the three things that made you come together and form this, and you had the trust of leaving and coming back to India?
Sure. So it's a vision. Like we were all clearly aligned on the vision or the industry we want to stick to. So it was always architecture plus real estate. So everyone was very aligned that we'll do this only. Second, the mindset. See, each of us had been in the corporate structure for quite long, and we had realized that we are more comfortable creating something of our own. So yeah, first one is vision, alignment on the vision. Second one is the mindset, the right mindset. And third one is the perseverance, that you will continue doing it. See, we had, when we started, and say May 23 is when I went full time, we had a timeline to ourselves that if nothing works out till December 23, we'll split. We'll close the shop. Nothing worked out. But we still continued. It was December 24. Things were still now taking shape. And now come May 25, we attend your event. And now suddenly there is like too much developers themselves like calling us for our product. So that totally changed the equation. But yeah, like it's just perseverance that given that we have started this now, we would get it to the plausible conclusion or try everything that is possible before we close it.
So in such dynamics, you think trust and loyalty really matters?
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does. Trust is a one important thing because Ramekan just, see, I was in US. I was graduating in 3 months, but Ramekan decided to leave his job and just start full time. So he just trusted that if he takes that decision, I'll come back, which there was no guarantee about.
True.
Yeah, so that was a huge trust that he showed in me. So yeah, like it's always give and take.
Of course.
It's multi-pronged. So yeah.
So who has been your biggest believer in your journey and that has helped you change the course or be where you are? There must be a mentor, must be someone who's always be silent cheerleaders.
Here I would like to highlight two very important people from my life. Before coming to very specific people in the real estate, see, when you are on an entrepreneurial journey, you need support from your own family.
Yeah.
It's my wife and my mother that I'm speaking about right now. When we got married back in 2020, I was with Bain doing amazing, then moved to real estate private equity. Then I suggested I want to go to do my master's in real estate development. So definitely spend some amount of money doing a master's, then deciding to coming back and starting an entrepreneurial journey right after. That's a huge decision.
Yeah.
That is where a lot of support came from my wife. And definitely I tell to a lot of customers that I go to that I'm making her work to support my entrepreneurial journey to an extent. You can say that. And And yeah, my mom has been a believer in me always. Like whenever there are low times, she's always there to cheer me up. That you can do it, you will get there. So yeah, like if you are on your entrepreneurial journey, just ensure that your family is totally on board with you.
True.
Because there are a lot of times where you have your lows, and if someone from the family is also discouraging you, there are high chances that you will stop it.
True.
But if there is a helping hand from the family at that point, that does amazing.
Of course.
You will stand up again and fight for the next day.
Agreed, of
So-
course.
So that's the family. Now coming back to specific people from real estate, I'd say I gained quite a lot from two specific companies. Bain. So at Bain, there's Gopal Sharma, who was senior partner. So I can lean on to him whenever I want on specific advice at very high level. Second was my supervisor at Xander, the private equity fund that I work for. His name is Darren Ansel. He is an amazing mentor. He was an amazing supervisor. And he's the guy I can rely on at any given point in time. He has been also good support, good direction shower as well, whenever we were in need during the journey. So it's interesting.
Nice.
And by the way, I worked with him for 1.5 years while at Xander, but because the borders were closed, he was way out of Singapore, we couldn't meet. I only met after leaving Xander.
Okay, like that.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Nice.
That bonding was totally amazing. I did not think that work from home can give you that close connects, but it did.
True. So tell me, when you were back, so you had seen the ecosystem in US and UK, right? But coming back to India to build Archonet, and where we are noticing AI was just warming up, especially in real estate, right? So what all you had to unlearn?
That's a pretty interesting question. So see, now when we talk about the current processes, right? So now when we talk about real estate feasibility itself, so now I'll just focus a bit more on real estate feasibility. When we mention real estate feasibility, any developer, apart from legal diligence, they also have to do 3 other feasibilities. One is technical feasibility, where you have a land parcel. You want to figure out what's the maximum built up area you can get under what scheme. So it's all local regulations and coming to a FSI statement and approval cost associated with it. So on a 5,000 square meter plot, you can build say 15,000. That is what you know at this step, which is a technical feasibility. Second is your financial feasibility, where you are now defining the product, what you want to actually build there, whether it's residential, commercial, if it's residential, what sizes of units. So here you will say, out of the 15,000 I can build, 5,000 would be commercial, 10,000 would be residential, and of XX unit sizes. Last one is where you do your design feasibility. That is where you get your architect, in-house or third party, give him a land parcel and ask him to actually lay out whatever your requirements are on the plot and see if you can fit everything given other constraints like setbacks, open space requirements. You might not be able to consume an entire 15,000.
Right.
So at this stage you get to know that even though I have a 5,000 square meter plot, I am allowed to build 15,000. I might be able to build only 14,000 or 14,500. Unless you are done with this entire thing, it's difficult to take a call on whether I should buy the land parcel or not, because that's a direct hit on your bottom line.
Yeah.
Any area that you cannot build, it's a direct hit on your bottom line. Now, as an architect, I had learned to just look at FSI statement and designing. As a management consultant, we totally left designing out of the picture. We'll just look at the numbers, how numbers are stacking up. Now, as a real estate professional from Berkeley, doing my master's there, it allowed me to see entire thing in a single go.
Right.
That these are the different moving pieces that you need to combine together to take a call on any deal from financial perspective. Now, what we are used to is design takes typically, see the test fits that we are talking about take 2 to 3 days, bare minimum. When I was working at my previous companies, there were cases where I got my concept design today. Say today, I only got the area statements 20 days after for me to do any financial calculations.
Okay.
And I got it budgeted within next it took 10-15 more days to budget it. So basically I get the design today, but I only know whether that design is area wise feasible or not in 20 days, budget wise feasible or not in 40-45 days. So even if I approve this design today, I am not sure whether this is actually doable. And we had to scrape this entire thing because we realized that our area statements are not matching, are not up to the mark.
Okay.
Our budget, it's overshooting. So that entire time is gone.
Right.
Now with AI coming into the picture, this 45 days cycle can now be reduced to say a day. And that is what we are working towards. So when you ask me what do you unlearn, there are a lot of processes that need to be done
Right.
in silos. You have to unlearn to do all this in silos, get it all together on a single platform, get all the stakeholders on the single platform, ask them to give their bits and pieces of information that each one of them needs to give, and get to that answer as quickly as possible so that you are not wasting time in just reiterating things. Because see, as an architect, there was one word that stuck with me, which is redo. It's always a redo. So yeah, now you have to learn to just say that rather than redo, you generate as many options as you need in the beginning step itself, and be very clear when you are making the decision and the next step.
Right.
So now no more redos, reiterate as much as possible in that short duration, and then move forward with confidence.
So the modules which Archonet has, right, the planned wise and the learned wise, right, where it has, rightly you said, because of AI and of course these modules in place, the things which used to take time maybe for a month or 2 months is now converting into a week or a few days, right?
Correct.
So this transformation has been great for a real estate users, right? But how do you manage? Because I have understood by other startups where they create technology solutions in real estate ecosystem, the major challenge which comes is the legacy software that the real estate clients are still building on or not able to change it because of any new solutions coming, so they cannot integrate with that legacy software.
Correct.
Is it applicable in this particular ecosystem as well where you function?
Yeah. So let me just first lay out the products that we have.
Right.
So Landwise is the product that takes care of technical feasibility. Finwise takes care of my financial feasibility. And Planwise, something that we are still building, takes care of design feasibility. Now, Landwise and Finwise that are currently ready, see, these are like directly plug and play. These are cloud-based softwares where you just log in and you can directly use it.
Right.
Right now, most the process that are being automated through Landwise and Finwise are anyways being done on either Excel or on pen and paper. So anyways, if it's pen and paper and Excel, it's then going into your legacy software after this point. There is no software that is being used to track this. So right now, eventually we'll definitely have this where we'll have to have connections or integrations with their SAP softwares or other ERP softwares where the data generated from here can directly flow into their legacy platforms. But that only starts after your design phase is halfway there. Most of the legacy platforms are mainly for your construction management, to an extent design management. But there is nothing specifically as of now. There are a few here and there. There is a solution like Argus, which allows you to do some kind of modeling. But in India specifically, no one is using it, or there are very few people using it. So that's why adoption becomes much easier for our platform. There is the data that you need to feed into the platform is anyways coming from the brokers. So there is no other source or platform where it's coming from. It's directly the brokers. So it's anyways manual data that needs to be anyways fed in.
Yeah.
The output that you get is anyways in PDF and Excel format. So you can directly use it for your further processing in your current processes. And we are also planning other integrations that would be required primarily for Planwise, where you would want the output from Planwise to directly be accessible on say AutoCAD or Revit or 3D massing softwares primarily. So we would be compatible with that for Planwise.
Okay, that's interesting. So are you saying when it comes to your software, does the brand needs to have certain skill set to deploy it?
So see, specifically for Landwise is primarily targeted at two kinds of stakeholders in the developers firm, which is their business development team as well as the license team. Both of them have the exact skill set. They have been doing those processes on Excel right now. And what we have done is, specifically from Landwise perspective, we have converted local DCPR to the extent required to evaluate residential and commercial developments into a software. So all the inputs that you anyways used to give in your Excel in bits and pieces now are taken into this software in a very structured format. And the output that you get out of Landwise is very strategic for decision making.
Interesting.
So yeah, so when you say the stakeholders that are using it do not need as such any specific new skill set. It's just simple plugging in the numbers and getting the right output to analyze the data.
Okay.
However, there is one area where this can be meaningful with some additional skill set, which is societies. So the societies who want to go for redevelopment, they do not have the skill set to actually understand the output that is generated. They can still give the input based on whatever PMC generates for them, but the output, it's difficult to understand. So it's that's why we are right now not as much focusing on societies.
So when it comes to Landwise and Finwise, I want to understand how accurate is the data?
Well, that's an interesting question. The product has evolved over time, but currently we have met with 70 plus developers in Mumbai over the last 4 to 5 months. And whenever we do a demo with them, we always love to run their actual numbers that we are working on, or any actual projects that they are working on our platform. I typically schedule a 45-minute demo so that they have enough time to collect data and put it on the platform. See, there are 3 major outputs that are generated out of Landwise. One is your scheme comparison. So if there are, say, 8 schemes applicable on my land parcel, Landwise will exactly tell you these are the 8 schemes that are applicable. This is the maximum potential that you can build under each of these schemes. There are some schemes which also require sharing with MHADA or SRA or PAP component. So all those data points are very clearly laid out with some additional inputs. In case of redevelopment projects, how much extra area you want to give to tenements, etc., you get a detailed FSI statement. In most cases, our FSI statements have been accurate to 2 decimal. Whatever they have had or got from their licensing architects or their internal team has worked out something.
Right.
There have been some discrepancies as well. And it was good to hear from developers that I knew there was some error in our data, but your number looks right. Like, okay, you are here testing my platform and you are doubting your own data while looking at it. It was pretty interesting to see. There was one more incident that I want to highlight here. There was one developer, we met them in January, February earlier this year. They are doing some project in Chembur and there was a metro station close by. So they were expecting that they'll get a TOD FSI, which is some additional area to build because of vicinity to the metro station.
Right.
I was running the numbers. Platform did not show TOD scheme itself is applicable. We have made it very much automated that if something is applicable, it would auto pop up. Platform did not show it. Even I got confused. Given all the parameters, it should show. But there was some additional calculation that was happening on the back because of some road setback. You were getting some extra FSI on top, etc. And I explained them that, okay, this is the reason why TOD FSI won't be applicable on this particular land parcel. They're like, okay, fine, we'll get it checked, etc. But they did not pay as much attention. 1 month after I called them and they are like, now we are right now stuck. Because we have confirmed that TOD is not applicable. We have already given a proposal to the society considering higher FSI, and now we are scrambling to just get the numbers working work out.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are cases where platform gave outputs which they didn't even know about, that this cannot be applicable. So it's that accurate from FSI perspective. Now coming to approval costs. Approval costs, see, different sources or different people have different ways of putting in cost. Most of your approval costs are linked to your ready reckoner rate of the land or residential apartment rate. There are some costs which are put lump sum, like environmental clearance is very lump sum. You don't know how much it can cost. It would be a certain range. What we have seen right now is our approval costs are in the range of plus or minus 5, sometimes 8%. Right now I was with one of the big developers. They ran a huge land parcel, upwards of 50,000 square meters. That's 5 hectares plus. The costs were going somewhere, approval costs were going in the range of, say, 3,000 crores for that project. Just the approval costs that need to go to BMC. Our costs were plus or minus 5% there. In that huge project with so much complexity, even they were surprised to look at that.
Okay.
Because see, for now, what I've been hearing from developers is, even if we get something as close as plus or minus 10 to 15%, we are happy to just use that solution. Because right now, it takes too much time to get to that data with confidence. And if you are giving me to that in like 15 minutes, nothing like that. And that is where there's a lot of pull from the developers.
And it's a good feedback which is coming on your way, because 2 years back, any developer, maybe not a branded developer, but few developers would say ki, like how you quoted, they said ki it's error in our project, rather than they would have put on you ki errors with you, or this kind of technology solution we can also make. It's very easy, we can deploy it. But we are in the conversation now where they are understanding the importance of it, right? So tell me, I noticed you said we have also evolved over the time.
Correct.
So how have you evolved over the time? I'm sure our viewers would also want to know. In terms of products, are you saying, or in terms of accuracy, are you talking about?
I would say in terms of accuracy.
Okay.
So see, when we went to market in September with the first version of Landwise, this was in September last year, we were so pumped up. We're like, we are 85% there. But after having those conversations with our initial customers, they highlighted a lot of discrepancies in the data. Eventually, we realized that we were just 55% there. And there's a long way to go. We met some of the top developers in Mumbai. There are few of them who were like, there are a lot of things that you cannot do, your platform cannot do. But there are some developers who just spent a couple of hours with me, just teaching me this is how it should work. See, when we started Landwise, it was this DCPR that we were converting into a software. So converting that into a logic and putting it onto the platform. But that is not where it ends for developers. See, you need to have business insights out of it. Unless you have actionable insights out of the data that is presented, it's of not much use to you. So all those inputs directly came from the developers. And there are like feedback from, let's say, out of 70, there are 60 plus developers who have added something to the platform in the conversations. Might not be direct addition to the feature, but something has been added by each of the developers that I've met. That was really interesting to see. Every developer that we met has appreciated the effort that has gone into building this and have always added, whether it's a small developer or a large developer, each of them have their own contributions in fine-tuning the model to the point that it is right now.
So it's basically having all the right actionable insight which a developer would require is now at your platform, right?
Yeah, it's now at the platform.
Okay.
So now, when I was doing a training session at Rustamji, I could see that in the face of the people sitting there, because I had met them in November last year. Very early stage, as I mentioned. And now when they were seeing the entire platform, the remaining team, they're like, this is amazing. A lot of things have changed. It's very amazing. Now, the inputs that we get is more on the presentation side. How should the data be presented for better consumption? But not much on the accuracy side. See, there will definitely be some edge cases,
right,
that will keep updating on the platform. Also, the regulations keep changing every now and then.
True.
So we have to update that. And we do promise to update that within the limited time. So yeah, but that will keep happening. But otherwise, not major changes.
Sir, it's been 2 years, right, where you have achieved all these feedback integrated in your system. So coming to a very important question, I'm sure developers be interested. Currently, Archonet is active where all? Like this solution can be also used for a person in Telangana or in, I would say, MP. Like, is it completely in Maharashtra deployable, or it's easily executed in every city, or it has limitations?
I'll here split the answer by product. See, Landwise, given it takes local regulation into consideration, it can only grow geographically over time. Whereas FinWise, it's financial modeling, typical, given it can work on its own for any geography. Similarly, PlanWise, given its layouts, as long as we are in India, it can be used for any geography. So land-wise is which is very geography specific. Right now we have DCPR, which is converted into a software. So Mumbai is totally covered. Mumbai, whatever is covered under DCPR, we leave Spatial Planning Authority, specifically MMRDA, from it.
Right.
Because that is very small area, too much work to get it integrated. The next geographies that we are ready with is UDCPR, which covers rest of Maharashtra. So we should be live with rest of Maharashtra on landwise in next month or so.
Okay.
So then you will be able to evaluate any land parcel, say in Pune, Navi Mumbai, Thane, on the platform itself.
Okay.
And again, landwise is only useful where regulations are complicated.
Right.
Rather than saying complicated, I would say evolved enough to take complexities into consideration, like Mumbai. Mumbai regulations are the most evolved and more structured.
Right.
When we talk about Hyderabad as a city, right, it is still on the development spree. There is still unlimited FSI. There is not much limitation on development yet. In Mumbai, because it's already densely constructed,
Right.
there are a lot of restrictions. And that is where a solution like landwise becomes very handy. Similarly, in cities like Pune, Thane, Navi Mumbai, which are again evolved, and there is redevelopment that is taking around, is already in consideration. That is where our solution as land-wise would be really useful.
So land-wise for a city like Delhi or Bengaluru will be?
It is highly applicable there. So we have a roadmap to enter Delhi as well as Bangalore in the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So the major cities that would want to cover under landwise would be Mumbai. Pune, Thane, Navi Mumbai is anyways covered. Delhi. Delhi, specifically Gurgaon area. And Bangalore.
Okay. Okay. And I want to understand, because data analytics is something now every developer is looking into, right? And they are interested to know before even acquiring a land or even having any kind of acquisition going forward in any kind of city. Will we be seeing Archonet also developing another module or vertical where analytics of, because you are sitting on a gold mine, right, of the data. So will we be also seeing that a certain data analytics will be provided by you?
So now here I want to split into two parts. See, one is just the data that is fed in by the developers onto the platform. That is totally private for the developers. That is not being used for anything. I guess what we are speaking here is the market data that can allow developers to make those calls. See, from our platform perspective, there are three key metrics which we would want to automate eventually or give suggestions for. One is the average sale price.
Right.
In the micro market where the project is being proposed. That is very critical from land-wise perspective. Now from fin-wise perspective, the other two market insights are what product mix, as in what size of units will work in that market.
Yeah.
The second related data point is how fast these units can be sold in that market. These three data points, once coupled with landwise and finwise together, can give them a complete picture. We still need to make that conscious call whether to reinvent the wheel or to just integrate with something that is already there. Right? There are already companies like Prop Equity, CRE Matrix that already are sitting on a huge pile of data. Are still in two minds what we should do, whether we should start from scratch or just plug them in and get access to that data points. Second is, again, there was one interesting feedback from one of the developers. They are like, the data that we have is all past data. I still don't know what's happening in the current market or what's going to happen in next
a year
4 to 6 months. 1 year is difficult to project, but 6 months still possible because you know what developers are coming in, who has the deals, etc., and what prices they might come in. Getting that data add a lot of value. We still need to figure out the right way to get it.
Okay. So earlier you have said that real estate world is fragmented, right?
Yeah.
So how would you say Archonet is filling that gap?
See, real estate as a market, for me, even architecture, that is where I come from, it was highly fragmented. Now, I've recently started looking real estate as fragmented. When we talk about Archonet as a platform, I am talking about fragmentation within the company itself. See, each of the verticals that we are targeting at the initial stages, there are 3 verticals that we typically target. It's BD, which is just getting the land parcel. Then there is license, which is figuring out what can be built. Third is design, which is telling you how much can actually fit. Fourth is finance.
Right.
There are this 4, and then there is marketing that comes into play, which tells you what unit sizes should go in before you start designing. So there are these 5 entities that need to work together. There's a lot of coordination. Each of them is working in silos today. And that's where the decision making itself takes probably say 2 to 3 months.
Agree.
For larger developers, say when we were looking at one of the national players, right? And this is the story with most of the national players or top developers. They do at least 25 different options of different sizes of units to fit on a particular plot. Each different option has 3 different design options attached to it. So it's a nightmare for me as an architect to design 75 different options within a span of that 1 or 2 months so that things can move forward. So that's the kind of scale and confusion that we are talking about.
Right.
Now, when we talk about Archonet and its products, see, the decision making now becomes very easy. Or scenario testing also becomes very easy. Say, let's talk about I'll get a bit more into technical now. I would say I want to do a redevelopment. Say I want to do it under 7B. I have on a particular land parcel, whatever, my maximum potential is 2.4. This won't make sense under this scheme. There can be now 7B in combination with 20B. I can get up to 4 FSI. Now when I run my numbers, which is say 2 minutes max on the platform, it will tell you that it's now making sense. I might want to do this. Now there are other softer aspects that you need to take into consideration. See, when you are talking about 7B, 2.4 FSI, less area built on the plot. Whereas now 4 FSI, there's higher density.
Yes.
You need to also convince people there. So it's now taking that decision becomes very easy from BD perspective and getting back on the discussion table with the society. That there's density, but you will also get slightly higher area and we can meet your demands. Earlier, it used to be BD giving it to license team. Now license team again vetting it. Then there's always a mismatch. If you go to 3 different sources for data, you will get 3 different numbers. That's the truth of the industry even today. I've met people, developers, who say that if I go to 3 different sources for getting this data, I'll get different numbers for sure. And then I have to figure out for myself which is the right number.
So tell me, would it be correct to say that Archonet is centralizing the decision making? Now no more the silo decision making is happening, which is of course eradicating those errors and those long term, I would say, turnover of decision making, be 2 months to a day, right?
Yeah, of course. So here I want to also quote one example. So this is again one of the developers, right? There was a design team. I just got to hear this story from one of my acquaintances that they went for a presentation. Suddenly the promoter is like, these numbers are wrong. The maximum potential that you're showing me is higher than what we have agreed internally. They took 1 month to then come back with the right numbers.
Or was it matching to the one you showcased?
Yeah. Okay. And then they had to again redesign, spend more time. So there was a lag of almost 1.5 months because of people were not aligned internally in the organization.
But I would also say there's a need gap in basis of understanding. So fine, in the promoter side, I can understand there's internal the layers of it. But even as an architect, would you agree that most of the promoters are tying up with the very well-known architects of the India, where they are a legend, but they have the softs which are again not that up to date with the technology which is happening now, be with the AI or be with the Landwise and Finwise. Should Archonet also, would one of the major stakeholder will be architect as well, because this kind of software they should also get on with to an understanding of how the land is in terms of the technical aspect of it.
Got it. So see, right now licensing architects, people who are well versed with all the regulations, one. Second, they have to strategize how to get a particular project approved with the regulator. They are definitely one of the stakeholders who are also looking to use it right now. There are a lot of architects or architectural firms who are again evaluating land-wise.
How open are they?
They are very open.
Okay.
See, it always again comes to commercials eventually. And earlier we just had one size fits all model where you just have unlimited projects, you pay X amount of fees initially, that's it. Now we have tiered pricing so that architects who want to come with smaller volumes of projects that they want to run, they have very affordable price points.
Okay.
So that is here we are talking about licensing architects. Then coming to design architects. So there are again a lot of design firms who are approached by either societies or landowners initially, and then they get licensing architect on board. So for them to give initial analysis of their land, etc. to the society, even these design architects are also getting interested. Then a third kind of firms which are very design specific. They are just concerned with design. For them, we would become relevant only once plan-wise is ready.
Okay.
But once plan-wise is ready, it's all the stakeholders till designer would be using it.
So tell me, what are the major challenges Archonet is right now facing with two stakeholders? One side, as we discussed, on the architect. Second, on the promoter side. In terms of adoption of the technology.
See, from adoption of technology side, right? I'll first talk about developers, right? See, developers, here we'll talk about, I'll just split entire developer community into two parts for now. One is tier 1 developers, others are smaller developers.
Right.
See, tier 1 developers, it's easier for them, for us to convince them to use it. I'll tell you why. See, what they do is they'll run at least one or two of their past projects that they are anyways executing on. They see that the numbers are working pretty well. So the initial compelling point for their adoption is right now there is no maker checker. Whatever a licensing architect has given or whatever my teammate has given me, these are the numbers that I have to work with. There is no checker as such concept. So so I'll tell you the way it works. Right now, whenever I get a land parcel, I'll send it to, say, one of the licensing architects. I'll get the numbers.
Right.
Then my internal team will work on these numbers. Most likely there'll be some mismatch. I'll try to sort it out. If things don't sort out, I'll go to second licensing architect to get the numbers again, like what his perspective is on the numbers. Then I'll try and match and optimize on whatever, or I'll just take the conservative approach towards the project. That is how it works.
Okay.
That is how it currently works today. So there is no maker checker as such. It's basically you just have to take whatever it at the face value of whatever the numbers are coming. You don't have the way to again double check if things are correct.
Got it.
Now using Landwise, and this is mainly from Rustamji, they are like, we would start using it as a maker checker, where this would be more of a checker. We'll still have our own processes that will give numbers and we'll check through this platform initially, and then eventually we would want to adopt it into mainstream decision making. So it's much easier from that perspective for me. Now coming to smaller developers, before May of this year, it was difficult to convince them because see, till now, whatever numbers they used to get from outside sources, that is what was their truth.
Didn't it, with your technology, sorry to cut you off in between, they are saving a good amount of money, right?
They are saving a good amount of money, but they need to also trust that the numbers that are coming from the platform are accurate.
Right.
Tier 1 developers have the capability in-house to check that. Which the smaller developers, most of them don't have.
Okay.
How do they figure out that the numbers that are coming are right? Because till now they are used to rely primarily on third-party sources for those numbers.
Right.
And that's why now, given that we have a couple of big logos who are trusting us, it's now becoming easier and easier to convert those small developers.
Understood. And what is the third challenge with the promoter? So one, we have understood maker checkers.
Maker checker.
Second, of course, now smaller
trust on the data that is coming out of the
platform. And the third?
Third was main from designer's perspective. So early on, we had very limited scenarios that could be run on the platform. Again, for architects who want to adopt a platform like this, see, developers have a very clear mandate that I would look at this size projects. I would primarily do projects in this scheme or that scheme. But for architects, it's totally different. He can get any random plot from anywhere. So he would want 80% of the scenarios to be covered on the platform. Actually use it. So till I would say Feb this year, we had somewhere around say 50-60%. Now we are at 85-90% scenarios covered on the platform. So now it's becoming easier for architects to adopt as well.
So the challenge earlier was because you haven't integrated all their
The business scenarios, yes.
business
The
scenarios.
business.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. So there is a scheme 12B under which you can load roadside structures onto your plot and get extra FSI up to 4. Now we had that scheme included, but in reality what happens is you would want to buy them up and then also use that as a part of your sale component,
Right.
which is a scenario that you want to test how it works out in terms of numbers, which we did not have earlier.
Okay.
So now we are incorporating all the different business scenarios as well,
Nice.
which becomes much easier for architects to also generate reports and send further.
So that's not the challenge anymore, right? Because you have covered.
But earlier it was, and
Okay.
till now we had been facing this. Now it's gradually being solved with all the new updates that have been happening on the platform.
Is there any other major challenge that you're facing when it comes to architects?
The price point will be a point of contention for architects based on the size of the firm that we are catering to. If it's a large firm which has enough volumes, it would be fine.
So is it true with large firms which have enough volumes but they are not completely there when it comes to technology adoption?
I don't know how to answer this because, see, when we talk about architects, right, they are primarily working on AutoCAD.
Yeah.
They are doing 3D massing.
Yes.
That's all technology.
Agreed, but that's it, right? But when it comes to land-wise or plan-wise, everything,
So-
are you saying architects are open to all of it, or
Design architects are not, right?
right?
We have been speaking to a lot of design architecture. So this was one of the design firms that I was speaking to. They are 213 architects, 215 architects in all. But they are very design focused. They are like, I don't want to get into numbers at all.
This will save their client money too.
Not really, because see, one of the reasons that they mentioned to me, which makes total sense for me to make sense of area statement that is generated out of landwise, I have to also understand the financial impact of all the areas that are generated. From developer's perspective, I understand all the assumptions on the financial side. From architect's perspective, they are not privy to it. So if I am just a design architect who is not actually helping in decision making,
For them it does.
for them, area abhi gaya, I won't be able to give any judgment on the financial side. Why you should do this?
True.
Unless it's a financial angle to it, developers anyways not going to accept. So that is where pure play design firms won't be using landwise.
Okay.
They would be interested in planwise directly.
That is gonna be launched by after 6-9 months.
After 9 months, yeah.
Okay.
After in 9 months is when we'll have our POC ready, which is a proof of concept ready,
Right.
where people can start using it on their projects with some discrepancies, of course. And then it will take its own 3 to 5 months to evolve, and that is when the product would be completely ready.
So I want to understand, as you had mentioned about, the policy and regulations.
Yeah.
With the way the policy regulations are changing, how with Archonet is first of all adopting it in with the speed and precision, and do you face challenges when certain policy are being changed, and how much time does it take for Archonet to deploy it?
That's a very interesting question and a very pressing thing for developers as well, because if they are implementing something like this and eventually would want to rely on it for decision making, they definitely want to know this answer. See, the regulations keep changing every month. Not every regulation has as much impact on the analysis, the initial analysis that we are speaking about, but there are very specific regulations that have a huge impact on the numbers directly, and profits can go higher, like the revenues can go high or low by few crores.
Give us an example.
So there was a recent update that happened in regulation 14A. So 14A relates to amenity open space that needs to be given on a plot, and according to this regulation, that entire amenity open space is deducted from your plot area for FSI calculation. Now the recent amendment that happened in April, for a plot between 4,000 to 10,000, it says that the entire amenity space that is it has to be left. But your FSI calculation, which goes up to say 3 or 4, can happen on entire plot, AOS plot as well.
Okay.
So earlier, before this, you only used to get a TDR of 2 times on this plot in suburbs, 2.5 times in city. But now you can go up to 4 under specific schemes and get that potential, right? So my FSI potential on that AOS plot doubled. So that's the area upgrade that I get. This small change, this is a very small change in the regulation, and it was not as complicated technically, so we implemented it within 3 days itself. Now I will talk about some other regulation change that happened in October, which is there was a change that was made in 20B scheme. 20B, so the key changes that came into play were now 20B can be combined with base DCPR, which is 30A, or can be combined with 33.7, 7A or 7B for redevelopment. Now, in this case, till April or till March or April, there was no clear understanding on how to implement this. Because when you combine, there are a lot of other things that get impacted. And RG in 20B's requirement is different, whereas under 7 or 30A, the requirement is higher. So how do you combine this? So there were no guidelines very clearly laid out of how this implementation will happen. The guidelines only came in April. So if we implement something which is incorrect on the platform, then people will take decisions based on that. So what we say is, for regulations that are very clear, we implement it within 5 to 30 days max. Because there can be some complications which technically take some time to implement on the platform. But in cases where the regulation itself, that the GR has come out, but there is no clarity among the developer community themselves or the licensing architects themselves of how the implementation will happen on various points, various different areas like AOS, amenity, RG, etc. That is where we'll just wait and watch. What we'll do is, at best, we release the guidelines to say that this is the new notification that, or the new GRS that has come in. You do this additional calculations on top of what our platform is giving you to get the desired outcome under that regulation by the time we implement it or get clarity and implement it. So we definitely do that.
Okay.
So within 2 days, you have guidelines to update the data that is shown on the platform, and whenever we have clarity and we implement it, it will be available for your regular use.
Okay.
But yeah, as I mentioned, once clarity is received, it's within 5 to 30 days. We get it implemented.
So regulations plays a huge role in this.
It's a huge role because that's a huge value add.
Right.
See, developers, initially when we used to go to them, they are like, your platform becomes redundant as soon as a new regulation comes in. So is true for their spreadsheets that they are using for these calculations.
Right.
Here, we have a centralized platform where any change that happens everywhere. There, they have different spreadsheets for different things. Now, whether all those changes are being made in every spreadsheet is difficult to track. That is where developers are also attracted to using a platform like ours.
It makes sense because you have centralized the system rather than having a silo sheets or verticals, right? Makes sense. So coming to the ecosystem, right? Because you have noticed it during the time when you were a student or you were in the corporate, the Indian real estate construction ecosystem I'm talking about is, how do you think has changed from the time you were observing it as a student and during your corporate life to where you have become an entrepreneur? So let me just be more specific to that question when it comes to the technology adoption. I'm talking about overall how the ecosystem has changed now.
See, when I was a student, the AutoCAD was just getting started to be used in colleges. Design firms were using AutoCAD for drafting, but not a lot of design firms were using 3D modeling software. And today when we speak about 3D modeling, it is as advanced as BIM.
Yes.
So that's a huge change that has happened within a decade and a half. So there were a couple of design firms which never used Revit, which is the 3D software that I liked. Where even BIM evolved over time, and now there are like additional softwares that are also offering BIM. So yeah, I would say that's a huge change in terms of technology adoption, and this was mainly from architects' perspective. Now from developers' perspective, see, smaller developers, right? Not larger developers, I'd say they're still slow in adopting technology because they have a very, very lean team, say 5 to 10 members max in-house,
right?
Sometimes 15, primarily managing either sourcing land or managing sales. For them, but they are also leveraging technology through the consultants that they hire. For larger developers, there are a few top developers who are leaders in adopting technology. To name a few, it's Godrej, Mahindra, Prestige.
Yeah.
They are leaders in. So there was a AR VR boom sometime in 2016 to 18.
Yeah.
That is where each of these developers took that opportunity to offer that delight to their customers. But I guess adoption of technology primarily still is where it's linked to revenue. If it's increasing my revenue,
Yes.
or if it's decreasing my risk, I'm very quick on adopting that. If some technology is still a cost center and I can still do with it without the software, there is still a tendency in the Indian market to still be with the current technology or current processes.
Let's talk about raising funds. So we have seen how VCs have been active in different sectors, be D2C, B2C. But when it comes to construction tech or even prop tech, we are seeing not much of such active investors or VC actively looking or scouting or putting their bets into it. Where do you see the problem is in terms of, is the problem not being understood how this tech could evolve over the time, like how they could understand in different sectors already, be fintech or be any D2C startup you take where they are placing the bet. So when it comes to prop tech and quant-tech, where do you see the need gap is coming, or where the problem is still lying?
So here I would first like to appreciate RealtyNXT. The event that happened in May was a contact demo day.
Yeah.
When you speak to investors, most of the investors, I won't say PropTech specific investors, but most of the investors, or maybe to an extent PropTech specific investors as well, they just understand any startup in real estate space is PropTech. They don't understand contact.
Yes. Yeah.
They don't understand design tech, which comes even before. Once Planwise is ready, we are part of design tech thing. Then there is contact, then there is PropTech. So that clear understanding of the market doesn't exist. One. Second, see, we have spoken to few investors in the past, and they ask us to justify market size. And we are like, dude, we are roti, kapda, and makan. We are makan. And you are asking me, we are a basic necessity. That is where you are asking me to justify a market size. But their apprehensions are also correct. I'd say, see, real estate in the past has not been as actively adopting tech. One, if you are just, as I mentioned earlier, if you are just a cost center for them, they won't adopt. Unless you are adding a strategic value, you are de-risking their project for them, or you are adding revenue, or you are fast-tracking the revenue for them. One of the investors we were speaking to last year, same product, and we were pitching him the entire end-to-end product, including land-wise, fin-wise, plan-wise, all together in a single bundle. And I was telling him that we have a huge volume. And then he's like, एक डेवलपर साल में कितना ही लैंड पार्सल देखता है या कितना ही प्रोजेक्ट्स करता है, मैं तो सिर्फ एक या दो प्रोजेक्ट करूंगा साल में, उसके लिए मैं इतना पैसा क्यों दूंगा?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
See, at that time, we also did not have a plausible answer to that because we were also starting on the journey. Now, after having spoken to so many developers, you won't believe in Mumbai, if you're speaking to any large developer, tier 1 developer, they are evaluating at least one deal a day. One deal a day, which is somewhere around, say, 200 to 50 deals a year minimum. There was an interview. It was someone from Oberoi Group who mentioned they are evaluating 1,000 projects or land parcels a year. It's huge volume.
Right.
Now, for a smaller developer, even though they are doing just one project a year, they are evaluating at least 80 to 100 land parcels every year, which is what the VC that we were speaking to failed to understand, and we were not able to communicate back then that the repetition or the usage of this platform at the initial stages when you are still evaluating would be, the frequency of usage would be much higher. That is where the revenue is. It's not one project that is doing that which is where he'll use it. He'll use it for all the evaluations that he needs to do. So yeah, the market size is still a point of contention for a lot of investors. One. Second, see, real estate most of the times get linked to not so white market. That is where also there is some amount of apprehension in some investors because they need to show their books eventually to their board, that is where I assume there is some amount of apprehension.
Can there be apprehension because of unpredictability of the sector? Meaning, real estate, maybe even there can be a possibility of some units being sold. We have seen that in past, unsold inventories are there. How it has affected the market, how it has affected the brand. Cut to when pandemic happens. So all of these scenarios also affect largely in real estate, which no one has the, I would say the parameter of how to see that sector as. So maybe the VC are not able to understand or predict that sector.
See, real estate, and this is what I've learned primarily in US. Real estate works in cycles. There's a cycle every almost 8 years if you see. There was 2008 Great Depression. Then there was a cycle again in 2016. Because of pandemic, the next cycle was very early, which is 4 years. But then again, these are cycles. It's very cyclic business in US primarily. And it impacts, the same impact flows in India as well. One. Second, when we talk about real estate as a business, whenever there are down cycles, your sales are not happening. That is one. But the good part is your land deals are also, because the values are down, developers are actually hunting for land parcels during that down cycle. Because they want to invest when the cycle is down and then take it up or get into the sale cycle on those plots when the market is high. Industry itself is not at a halt. If you see, even during pandemic, there are a couple of projects of large developers which got sold out within few months of launch because developers came up with very interesting payment schemes, etc. So they were able to actually make a huge return even out of pandemic as well. The reason was a lot of people were sitting on a lot of money during pandemic because none of the businesses were happening. They had to invest it somewhere. Real estate was one of the outlets. So they made money, but very progressive developers. So not everyone. And investors fail to understand this dynamics. There's one more factor I'd say. See, one of the big things that happened in real estate after the platforms like prop equity, etc., was AR/VR. That was one of the factors that came into play. AR/VR in general was too expensive for adoption by smaller developers. Bigger developers, they were fine because they had huge budgets, huge ticket sizes as well to justify that investment. But for smaller developers, it did not work out because of the high price point. A lot of VCs back then, in 16 to 18, invested in a lot of AR/VR startups for real estate. And then they burned their hands because it did not work out. Now, those companies are now going outside India and making huge money. But in India, they burned their hands once.
Right.
And that's why some amount of apprehension in just putting money here.
So Mahek, in past also I've asked this with few startup founders and I want to ask you also. A lot of sectors are noticing unicorns. But when it comes to real estate, why we are not able to see many unicorns or unicorns?
So the sectors that we are seeing unicorns or unicorns are the sectors which are primarily in the B2C, where the volumes are huge, even though the money that you are getting out of each transaction is low. Whereas when we talk about real estate as a sector, it's more of a B2B sector.
Right.
The technology adoption within the real estate is now seeing pace. So we will start seeing those unicorns, say in next 10 years, is what I could see. I'll say the reasons why. See, most of the developers that are operating today, they have their second generations into the business.
Yes.
Each of this second generation, if you see, most of them have either gone to UK, US, or some other geography outside. They have seen the tech adoption there.
True.
They are coming back. They are open to understanding what are the tech solutions out there in the market and experimenting with it in their organizations.
True.
This is the starting point, and it's been happening for last, I would say, 6 to 8 years at a slow pace, and now it's picking up pace. I was looking at I was hearing to one of the RealtyNXT podcast with, what was that, Embassy Group. Yeah. And there Aditya Virvani was talking about the same change that is happening, and it's visible. Even when we speak to so many developers, it's always that son who is very much interested in knowing the product. It's pretty interesting to see that. However, there is one interesting twist to this. Even though the young generation is the one that is evaluating it, what I have noticed personally is that the elder generation is the one who is going to take decision on these tools.
Not in all cases, but what I agree with is the fact, which I have also heard from the startup founders, is a lot of these second generation, third generation who have studied in US, UK, and who have the knack of understanding how these solutions are actually not just a cost, but how it can make your life seamless, be in back end or front end. That's where we are now noticing a needle being moved in different direction, which is very interesting to see now the change happening. Of course, the way we will compare it with the global market, maybe we are not there yet when it comes to construction technology as well, or design tech or prop tech, but slowly I think things are changing. So coming back to understanding of Archonet journey and the kind of modules you have come up with, I want to understand with you what is the key differentiator, and do you think in this particular space do you have competitors existing?
This is one thing that we keep evaluating over time. See, there is no comprehensive solution that is offering end-to-end solution for feasibility as such.
Yeah.
Now, for land-wise, so I'll talk for each product specifically because there are point solutions for each of the products that we have. For land-wise, there are a few nascent startups that are offering accessibility to regulations or to very specific schemes maybe, but no one is giving a comprehensive view so that the decision can be made based on that data.
Right.
So that is where we see very weak competition for land-wise. For fin-wise, there are very specific tools. Say there's Argus, I mentioned earlier. So Argus is a financial modeling tool that is being used in Australia. It is also heavily used in US, but specifically for the Indian market, it's not very customizable. That is where it's not adopted as much. But there are still few private equity funds who use Argus.
Okay.
There are other point solutions. So if you know TrueBoard also has some solutions for financial modeling as well as tracking.
Yes. Yes.
That's pretty interesting. But we are offering something at the land evaluation stage. They come in at project management stage. So
Right.
there is a clear progression from us to them. So that is also pretty interesting to see. And the third, which is plan-wise. So there are very specific competitors. There's TestFit. That is already there, established player in US. There is Archistar, established player in Australia. Then there are modeling tools for initial design feasibility like Spatio, Architectures. They are based out of Europe. So, but none of these solutions are, I would say, catering efficient enough to cater to Indian market. The nuances that we have, they have already been built with their geographies in mind. So not directly applicable here, but with additional changes, maybe.
Okay. So you're saying there is no much competition in India for your...
In India right now, no.
Interesting.
From a tech player's perspective, no.
Okay. So 5 years from now, what do you want Archonet to be synonymous with when it comes to construction ecosystem?
So from the inception of Archonet, in its current version, we always wanted it to be a platform that helps you make decisions and de-risk your investments as early as buying the land parcel itself. So we would want it to be that assistant, decision-making assistant through different stages of or the life cycle of the real estate as well. So right now it's just land acquisition. To an extent with plan-wise, we would cover, say, design development, concept design.
Right.
But eventually we would want it to grow to the entire design development life cycle. Then with AI solutions, add-on solutions that are coming in, because we'll have most of the design parameters laid out, it can eventually either stream, maybe branch into your CRMs, where your marketing visualizations can happen through that models, or it can be used for your construction tracking, those same models or digital twin in the form of digital twins, etc. So yeah, we would want to be that one-stop solution that allows you to plug and play with other platforms that you are using.
Yeah.
But this is the single source of truth for your decision making.
Interesting. So if you could have policymakers and as well firms, be your promoter firms, developer firms, even design firms, which is that one principle that you want them to adopt when it comes to Archonet?
Archonet.
Archonet approach.
So this is very specific question that we like to address. See, till now, when we talk about decisions that are made either by developers, regulators, or designers, there are quite a lot of instances where these decisions are based on intuition.
Okay.
That it's my gut feeling that this will work. What if it doesn't work? What we want to bring is make data-backed decisions. Definitely, you are still taking the risk, but know all the degree of risk that you are taking.
Right.
That is very important when you are making those decisions. And that is what we are trying to solve for. We want to give as much visibility into the risks as possible so that you can de-risk them initially itself, or else you exactly know this is the risk, whether I am comfortable with it or not. It applies to everyone.
True.
It applies to developers primarily, regulators, yes, because any regulation, how much impact it will have is determined by that. And designers, it just increases their work.
True. So lastly, before I start the rapid fire, I know you're still young to the ecosystem because it's 2 years. I want still an advice from you for the young entrepreneurs or youngsters who are planning to get involved in the construction technology or the design technology. What will be your key advice to them?
See, be very clear about your value proposition that you're offering. And it's not only your value proposition. How do developers perceive it? What's the benefit that they can gain out of it? Quantify that gain very clearly to them. They'll be happily adopting it. As long as there is money on the table, they'll definitely use it. It's always the money. If I am getting very clear value out of it, I'm happy to adopt it.
That's what all I say to startups also when it comes to POC contracts or when it comes to business pilots. At least have a value in front of it. Don't do it for free because it will get you also that kind of confidence, right? Your solution is there to be proven or to be deployed, but that doesn't mean that you have to take it or do it for free, right? Don't you agree on that?
So that is one thing, like not doing it for free. But also like clearly articulating the value that developer gets out of your solution.
True.
That is very critical because otherwise no one will adopt it unless the value proposition is very clear.
So Mahek, I'll begin our rapid fire, which is quite a famous round in our Let's Talk business, where you need to be very quick without giving a thought to the question. Whatever first thing comes in your mind, you have to tell us. Okay. So one construction tool you take to a deserted island.
It would be, I would say, it should be a tech tool.
Yeah, I'm like construction tool.
Construction tool on a desert? I'd say I'll take a hammer because I want to build something and get it started.
So if your startup had a mascot, what would it be?
Never thought about it, but we would want it to be a lion.
Okay. So if you had to describe Archonet in 3 words.
Data-backed decision making.
Okay. If you could have lunch with one architect or innovator, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I always wanted to have meet Calatrava.
And why?
Because I really like his structures. He designs amazing, very structurally heavy structures, structurally elegant structures.
Okay. So that one movie or a book that inspired you or that keeps inspiring you?
Fountainhead. The Fountainhead
Yes.
by Ayn Rand. Because it's on architect's life. And it also spoke about, it had an architect who had his own way of working, did not adhere to other people. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting.
That's interesting. One worse advice that's not necessary you must have followed, but it just makes you chuckle. And one best advice that you have received so far.
I'll start with the best advice. So this was by the chairman of Xander Group. He's like, when I was going to US, like you study there, which is fine, but if you work there, you won't be able to get your connections back when you come back to India. So might as well come back as soon as possible. And that is what I did.
And worst?
The worst one was, so when we were starting with Archonet as the idea, it was one of my mentors earlier as architects. He's like, developers know exactly what they want to do. They won't be using this. And we definitely rejected that. But that's advice. Yeah.
Okay. So if you could fast forward 10 years, what headline would you want to read about Archonet?
The headline can be Archonet helped save XX amount of crores for a particular developer because they did something or made the right decision early on using Archonet.
Nice. So one thing you have learned about people by working in construction technology?
So anything to do with real estate or construction, people always like to do cost benefit analysis before making a decision. As long as there is money, I'll make that decision. One. Second, everything is on the table till agreed upon.
Okay. One feature you like to add to Archonet if budget and technology were no limit?
This is real-time tracking of market data. Something that we would want to add ASAP. Yeah.
Okay. Most underrated city in India for real estate potential, according to you?
I'd say any tier 2 city.
Okay.
Because I want to be in any of those tier 2 cities ASAP. And I'd say, because I've seen Chandigarh very closely last year. So, yeah.
It's developed quite, yeah. So one myth about construction or real estate you would want to bust in a sentence?
Real estate is easy.
Okay.
It's a building banana hai. It's not.
So give me one positive learning that you got from US and a drawback that you have noticed in US market, and one good learning you had in India and one drawback you have noticed. And I'm talking just plainly keeping construction and real estate ecosystem.
In US, it's more build to rent. It's going towards more and more build to rent economy. So I've seen very data backed decisions being taken in US. That is a great thing. They know exactly what risk they are getting into. However, at the same time, the land acquisition to breaking the ground is 5 years at least in US. Any land parcel.
Okay.
They are like the regulations are so badly structured on those specific fronts. In India, again on the same point, if you have the right resources and right things in place, you can, once the land acquisition is done, you can get off the ground within a year. That's a really positive thing that brought me back to India. I'm like, there is no pause once you made a acquisition decision in India. It's growing heavily. Second is there are a lot of delays in the overall process due to multiple things. It's very uncoordinated as of now. But there's a huge room of improvement, and there are a lot of startups that are coming with a lot of solutions. One. Second, there are developers that they themselves are understanding that they need to do something for it, and they are actually doing it now, which is interesting to see.
So lastly, I want to ask is one Indian startup founder, it can be from any sector, which you would like, if gotten chance, you would like to be that person for a week or a day, who that would be and why?
I would say Kunal Behal from Titan Capital. Why? Because see, he is a great entrepreneur himself. That is one. But he is also motivating other founders, also investing in them. I would love to do that. Right now, I've got help from so many, I won't say investors directly, but a lot of industry folks, and would definitely love to give back as soon as possible.
Right. So thank you so much, Mahek, for coming today to Let's Talk Business. It was wonderful to have you here and to know about your journey. And I'm sure the developers, even our viewers, will know more about what Archonet has been up to and how it's evolved. And we wish you great achievements in future and great more projects that you will be launching in terms of the modules. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kritika, for once again, thanks for giving this opportunity to allow me to tell my story to the audiences, and having this candid conversation about different aspects of real estate, of Archonet, of my life in general. It was great having this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.